I love him. I love him so much. He's my favorite. I can't wait for him to give all these large companies more tax breaks. Is my favorite thing. I hate BlackRock except for when he's deregulating at the behest of BlackRock. I love when he deregulate companies. That's my president. He's my favorite. I feel like you're having some issues here. Perhaps maybe because you work for a consulting firm, okay? And, you know, people do jobs that absolutely suck. People do jobs that actually harm people. As long as you're not a cop and you're like directly participating in the in an individualized way with the violence that you are subjecting people to, it's you know, we got to do what we all got to do, okay? Having said that, however, I do not think that you should be the president.
Who will destroy our country. If she ever gets the chance to get into office, we're not going to let that happen. You know, I was supposed to be nice. They say something happened to me when I got shot. I became nice.
No one said that. They were saying maybe you'll be like that.
And when you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous people. When you're dealing with them, you can't be too nice.
Sorry that we not all can be streamers. Brother, if you think I think a Twitch streamer should be president, you are more delusional than most Twitch streamers, myself included, okay? I never said a Twitch streamer should be president. I don't know why you literally just heard me say, listen, we all got to do what we got to do to make bread, okay? You're out of your goddamn mind. I never said anything about like everyone should be a Twitch streamer.
She's absolutely terrible. She's, as you know, more liberal than Bernie Sanders. Can you believe it? She's rated far more liberal than Bernie Sanders. And she's now trying to get rid of her record, but she can't. She's going out and saying things that she doesn't believe. And if she ever got in, she'd destroy this country so fast. So she was the border czar, but she never went to the border, right? She was appointed by this horrible president.
So you can never work for a company and then run for president? All right, everybody shut up.
To be president in his basement.
I love and I welcome all the new people into this community, but that doesn't mean that we're going to do the classic Twitter dynamic of like, I said I like pancakes, so I meant everyone who eats waffles should be. We're not doing that, okay? The classic like, so you mean you want everyone that eats waffles? That's kind of, stop putting words in my mouth. Shut the fuck. We're listening to the goat speak, okay?
A million illegal aliens to stampede.
Put some respect on his name.
From all over the world.
The goat is speaking.
As vice president, she cast the tie-breaking votes that created the worst inflation in a half a century, decimating middle-class families and hurting very badly, as you know, all people in North Carolina. And by the way, Laura says hello. Laura, do we love Laura? How good is Laura? She is terrific. She has done a tremendous job. You know,
you need a new hat for 2024? Nah, I'm good.
They'll say he's cognitively challenged. I don't want to be cognitively, no, but I want to thank her because she's unbelievable. She loves it. I'll introduce Michael in a couple of minutes, but I want to remember to introduce Laura. She's been a fantastic daughter.
Back to blue signs are pretty funny because it's like I said, you know, cop versus convict race. But cognitive
dissonance. She happened to name her one beautiful daughter. You know what? Carolina. Carolina. I said, which one? Which Carolina? She said, well, North, of course. No. Let's call them both. Do you mind if I call them both?
Boo.
It's been great, frankly. And when Kamala Harris was sent to Europe to deter Russia, what a joke that was, from attacking Ukraine, how did that work out? Russia answered by launching the invasion just 5 days after she left. Putin laughed at her like she was nothing. She is nothing. She's so bad for us. Everything Kamala touches turns into a total disaster. She's destroyed San Francisco with her policies. Check out San Francisco. 20 years ago, it was the greatest city in our country. Today, it's not. She'll destroy our country if she's elected, so we won't let her be elected. We can't let that happen. Unbelievably, despite all of the damage she's caused, radical liberal Kamala Harris now wants a promotion to deliver 4 more years of chaos. We've had the worst 4 years. You know, I say about Biden, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of our country, added them up, they won't have done the damage that crooked Joe Biden has done. But this November, the American people are going to tell her, no thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra-liberal, and we don't want you here. We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Yeah. He said the line. He said the line. He's my favorite
and yet
president.
The fake news, which a month ago said she was incompetent.
I love him so much.
Stiff,
He's my favorite.
Stiff, the worst. Nobody talked to her. She was firing her staff.
I can't wait for him to give all these large companies more tax breaks. Is my favorite thing. I hate BlackRock except for when he's deregulating at the behest of BlackRock. I love when he deregulate companies. That's my president. He's my favorite.
Lying Kamala as if she's the savior of our country. That she's so brave. I've never seen a turnaround like this. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, she was the worst politician in America. Now they say, isn't it amazing? Look at her. She's so beautiful. She's so magnificent. She has a crowd of 1,000 people the other day. And the fake news, and they worked hard to get that crowd. We have crowds of 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000.
Oh, he saw the crowds. Oh, he's not happy. He saw the news coverage of the massive room that Kamala packed. He's not happy about
said,
that.
Oh, her crowd was amazing. It was amazing. You see it? The other day, she had maybe 1,000 people. I doubt it. They worked their asses off to get those people to go, and I wonder what they gave up. They said, oh, this is such a big crowd. She's got such momentum. I don't think she's going to have a lot of momentum after this speech because I'm telling you about her, right? We're telling you the facts. I'm just giving you the facts.
This is his,
but they said it was such a big crowd.
He's opening up the line of fire. Like he's going to show us what he's going to be attacking her on.
You can multiply her crowds times 20 and 30, and she wouldn't get
Still talking about the crowds. Oh, you know he doesn't like that. Oh, no, that's danger for him. Oh, no.
We're up in New Jersey. 82,000 in South Carolina. 82,000. And by the way, we would have had a number here that would have been through the roof. But, you know, we are confined. As beautiful as this arena is, I just met the owner. He said it's an all-time record. Because, you know, they have basketball, hockey. But with basketball, hockey, you can't fill up the floors, right? So we set the all-time record. And he's a very nice gentleman, great family. But we set the all-time record. And if this thing were twice as large, it would be filled up with the people outside. 68,000 people in the great state of Alabama, 68,000. And then we did one in the South Bronx, and that can be a rough place. But we did one, and it was like a love fest. This was an amazing thing.
Like a love fest.
25,000 people in the South Bronx.
We brought every cop from Staten Island to the Bronx. They had to leave early because they're afraid of the dark.
A crowd like Kamala, assuming she had 2,000 people, which I don't think she did. But if I ever had a crowd, they'd do headline stories.
Bro, he's still, oh my God, the amount of time he's spending on Kamala Harris's crowds is so funny. Oh my God, dude.
Cameras back there. Look. And I always say, but they never do it, turn the cameras around to show them the crowd, but they never do it. They never want to do it. They just don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. I don't know why. Even the semi-friendly camera, they don't turn. You know, I used to think it was a physical thing with the camera. You know, the steel, you can't turn, you can't turn. And in 2015, it started right from the beginning, these big crowds. But now I have to tell you, there's more spirit now. We won in 2016. We did much better in 2020, but it was rigged. It was rigged. But this is bigger than 2020. This is bigger than 2016. And I think the reason is you like me a lot, but you know what you really like? When you look at the incompetent administration that we have with the inflation, with the Afghanistan, with all of the things they've done wrong, everything, the borders are. When you look at how bad they are, you say, you know, I like Trump, but now I really like Trump because we don't want to go back. Front row Joes. Front row Joes. You know, front row Joes, they've been to 201. I hate to tell you that, North Carolina. They beat you 201, and they were to a rough one last week. That was a rough one. I saw them. They were sitting in the front row, and things were happening that weren't too nice, right? Amazing, right? But they were there, and they didn't move. You know, amazing. Nobody moved. When a bullet goes off, this is a freak thing, but a bullet goes off, crowds always run, they call it a stampede. Nobody ran. And we had 55,000 people. Nobody ran.
What? Bro said 55,000 people in a town that's population is 13,000.
And
there were not, bro, we can see the crowds, man. It's one of the most televised speeches that you've ever given because he got shot at. There was barely 5,000 people there.
They were like this. How about the guy right behind me in the black with the green hat? And he's looking like this.
At least this happened to him so he could change his like type 5 a little bit. He's reworking it.
They've only played that clip about 5,000 times. They see it every day. It's over and over. But you see how brave. Normally when something like that happens, everybody but Richard will leave. Richard will stay. He's a tough cookie. But no, everybody scrambles. They run. Nobody ran. Same thing with the group out front. The group out front was the big group. Thousands and thousands of people. Nobody left. They just stood there watching because they saw that I was in trouble. Either I was in trouble or something was happening because I had a lot of blood on my hand. I checked out. I said, oh, gee, what's this? But no, they saw that. And when I went down, they saw that, and nobody left. It was like, the whole thing is like a big love fest, let's face it. It's a whole big love fest. It's amazing. We love you, man. We love you. We love you. We love you. That was a horrible thing. That was a rough thing. And say what you want, the Secret Service, the ones on this day, on the dais, these guys right here, the tough cookies, they ran. Bullets were flying. Bullets were flying, and they were running right at me. And it was a rough, horrible, horrible time. And they said, sir, we have a stretcher for you. I said, you're not putting me, I'm not getting on a stretcher. They had a stretcher. I said, that's not going to look very good if I get carried out on a stretcher. Hello, everybody. Thank you, everybody. They said, I'm not getting, where are my shoes? My shoes got knocked off. They tackled me so damn hard. But it was a terrible thing in so many ways. And as you know, we lost somebody who was fantastic. Corey, fantastic. His family is fantastic. And two other great people. These are great people. I got to know their families a little bit. And, you know, the public has really been generous to them, too. They opened up their hearts to I won't even tell you, the numbers are so incredible. But they opened up their hearts to the three of them. And these two were hurt very badly, but they're both now in pretty good shape. They'll soon be in very good shape. So, but I just looked down here at Front Row Joe's, and it just reminded me of that incident a week and a half ago, right? You were right there watching it. You saw it. And you guys, by the way, weren't moving either. I saw you. You didn't move. You were just, they were standing just like they're standing right now. They were standing. They're great. They're great. And
yeah, as someone who believed Donald Trump when he said he's never going to tell this story ever again because it's too emotional to tell, I'm personally shocked that he has retold the story at every single media opportunity he's gotten since the shooting. Let me tell you, I'm flabbergasted. I'm a little shocked. It's confusing because how could he lie to me like that at the RNC?
Show that clip, which will be as soon as you get home. They'll show it about 30 times. They show it every day over and over. But watch the people behind. They always stampede. If a bullet goes off or something happens at a soccer stadium or a stadium, and we had more people than most of those stadiums would have, everyone runs. Nobody ran. They stayed, and you have to look. The one guy, he just was so angry. He's looking. I gotta meet him. There's something about brave people that I love, right? People that love our country. He's out there. He's like up there. No, they're great. They're great people. And we had a great convention. We had a convention that broke all television ratings. How good was the Hulkster, right? Oh. And Kid Rock called. He wanted to be a part. He was fantastic. But they were all fantastic. It was the greatest. It was just a flawless convention. It was great. And the television ratings were record-setting ratings. You all read that. They were record-setting ratings, and it was just an honor. The stadium was beautiful. Milwaukee was beautiful. Wisconsin's promised me they're all going to vote for me now because we put $250 million into their economy. So we're going to win the great state of Wisconsin. But Milwaukee was great. They did a great job. The stadium is new. They built it for the basketball team, which is excellent. You know the Greek, right? The Greek. He's a good player. But they built it for the team, and it was like new. And it was one of the most, I think it was the greatest. I really believe it. It couldn't have been better. It was the greatest convention that anyone's seen thus far, Republican or Democrat. But getting back to a subject called Kamala, who's the worst?
Whoa.
You know, I ask you this question because this has never happened before. So Biden's running. I wouldn't say his debate performance was one of the best, right? Do you agree? That's where it all started, with the debate. The downfall started that night with the debate. The debate was like, that was a rough debate. He said, yeah, I had a bad night. No, he had a bad night. He had a bad everything. He had a very bad night. But it started really with the debate. It was all, you know, the game was up. They say the jig was up. And it was indeed up. But it started with that. And then it only got worse. And we were leading him by 11, 12, 14, 15 points. And then he decides to get out because the bosses said, we're not going to have you. He didn't want to get him. You're getting out. They said, you're getting out. You're getting in the polls. You can't win. You saw that. You can't win. You're getting. So now they bring in this one who's worse than him. She's worse than him. Because he's a fake liberal. You know, he wasn't that liberal. He was fake. She's a real liberal. She really is a real liberal. She's much worse than him. Now, if we start beating her in the polls by 10 or 15 points, are they going to bring in a third candidate? It's like, you know, Trump is this guy. All right, out. Let's bring in a new one. Out, out. And then maybe at some point they get one right, but when will that stop? And you know, the guy had 14 million votes. So much for democracy. You know, they talk about democracy.
Yeah.
He had 14 million votes, and they said, we're going to give it to somebody with no votes. She had no votes. In addition to her horrendous record as vice president, Kamala Harris has also been caught red-handed perpetrating the biggest scandal in American political history. For 3.5 years, Harris shamelessly lied to the public to cover up Joe Biden's mental unfitness, claiming that Crooked Joe was at the absolute top of his game. I don't think so. I don't think so. I wish him well, but I don't like him. He's not a nice person. I mean, he's not a nice person. He's trying to put me in jail. Why would I like him, right? That's the first time. No, first time. And she's the one behind it. And she's got a new line, you know. She's going, I'm the prosecutor. She's one of the worst prosecutors in history. She destroyed San Francisco. I'm the prosecutor, and he's the convicted felon or something. A radical left judge in an area where every one of these cases, every one of them is brought by them. So think of it. They get me to that position, and then their campaign says, I'm the prosecutor, and he is the convicted felon. That's their campaign. I don't think people are going to buy it. And we won our big case. You know, we won the case in Florida. That was a big one. We won that one. And I got out by beating their Justice Department, and he got out of the same case, except his was far different because he had 50 years of documents, right? He got out by being incompetent. The prosecutor said he had no memory. He basically said he's incompetent, so he shouldn't stand trial. Can you imagine? He can be president, but he can't stand trial. What's that about? But it was all headed up by her because she's a prosecutor, a really bad one. If Kamala will lie to you so brazenly about Joe Biden.
He's trying so hard to slap Joe Biden and Kamala Harris together. It's just not going to work.
She can never, ever be trusted. She can't be trusted.
It's tough. To be fair, it's tough.
And
it's
just
tough
like
to do.
crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country. In a year, this country will be destroyed. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of dishonesty, incompetence, weakness, and failure. Other than that, she's doing an excellent job. A vote for Trump Vance. How do you like? How do you like? J.D. Vance. How do you like him? A vote for Trump Vance administration.
Yes, he's going to keep saying her name wrong, and I don't think Kamala Harris should ever turn around and be like, wow, that's really fucked that you're doing that. You're sexist and I think the greatest thing that the Democrats could do is just like let them be weird about that and not just like invoke identity unless it directs back to policy. Okay, just ignore it. Run a good campaign, because that type of shit will relitigate culture war back and forth over and over again. And it's just not like a fun argument for a lot of people. I think it's like very depressive. Just let them be weird on their own. Just make them look weird. Be like, yeah, that's weird. Okay.
By comparison. Here's just some of her crazy liberal record. Kamala Harris co-sponsored Bernie Sanders' $32 trillion plan for a socialist takeover of the entire U.S. health system, which will be a disaster and will bankrupt Medicare and Social Security. They're gone.
My favorite is like
Social Security is
a group of North Carolinians who are like, you know, from a diverse background, but like there's still plenty of working poor there being like, yeah, I hate socialized medicine. I hate that. That's crazy.
And we all have a big heart, but some of those people are tough, from prisons, from mental institutions.
Yeah. Bring up how close Kamala Harris is to Bernie Sanders. That's a good idea.
Outlaw private health insurance.
Bring up how close Kamala Harris is in policy to Bernie Sanders. That is certainly going to be a really bad idea to do. I mean, I'm sorry, a really good idea to do. I love that. Literally, like on the one front, you have Joe Biden that you're trying to haphazardly slap back on Kamala Harris with. And on the other hand, you have one of the most historically consistently popular congresspersons in the United States of America. Okay?
We're going to give you all of these things. They're going to come, even if they're fine in their country. And people are being in the caravans, especially women. They're dying on the way up. It's horrible. It's horrible. You have to see the real numbers. She co-sponsored the $100 trillion Green New scam, with the goal of completely abolishing the oil, coal, and natural gas industries, which would reduce the United States to a third world country. No more oil.
Do you plan on listening to this speech, or are you going to yap over the entire thing? No, I plan on yapping over the entire thing. I don't know if you know this, but like, you know, I'm a political commentator, and the entire reason why we're listening to this old man drone on and on about the exact same shit he said a million times over is specifically so we can analyze it and do some commentary over it. You know, you have the opportunity to go and watch it on your own, right? Like, I hope you are aware of this. Like, I'm not holding you at gunpoint here. Like, just go watch it on your own then, dumbass. What do you mean? Like,
it would cost $5
do you think I'm the only
trillion.
channel
That's
showing this right now?
We would have to file for bankruptcy. And they don't care. They say, let's do it anyway. She said that a 70 to 80% tax hike is, quote, a bold idea that should be discussed. She wants it 80%. You know, I gave you the largest tax cuts in history. She wants to take them away and increase your taxes. I don't think you're going to be too happy. Kamala publicly boasted, quote, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. She wants no fracking. Now, that pertains to Pennsylvania, Texas. It pertains to Oklahoma. It pertains to a lot of other places, more so than you. But it pertains to you where your wallet, because you're going to be paying a lot of money. You're going to be paying so much. You're going to say, bring back Trump, please, please. Please bring back Trump. We want Trump. We want some common sense, please. She supports mandatory gun confiscation to rip firearms out of the hands of millions of law-abiding gun owners. She wants to take away your Second Amendment, which we need. Lion Kamala is also a total radical on a word called, do you know this, right? A word called what? Abortion. She's a radical, crazy person. When you compare my position on abortion to that of Kamala Harris, my position is 8 points higher in the polls, and that's because she is so radical. She wants abortions in the
That's awesome. This framing is not going to work, dude.
Right up until birth.
This framing is not going to work.
The execution of a baby, because that's not abortion, that's the execution of a baby.
I love that he's talking about this in North Carolina, though. Was it Virginia? It was Virginia, right? The one that, the one where the governor, everyone kept saying the governor, who's a doctor, wanted to like execute babies post-birth. He also, I think, had like some blackface controversy, like North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm mixing it up.
Legislation that would require medical providers to give care to babies born alive after.
How the f is post-birth landing to anyone? Dude, they're Republicans. Like 90% of their policy is born out of hysteria. Okay? The Republican Party does not have any policy prescriptions for genuine problems that people are facing. It is almost all propped up. It is almost all propped up by Republican panic, Republican hysteria. That's it.
After 52 years, they allowed it, but everybody wanted it.
Every policy, like think about it, immigration. Undocumented migrants are invading the country to do like mass rapes and mass violence. Hundreds of thousands of Americans dead. Just completely made up, right? That's not a real thing at all. It's the exact opposite, right? Virginia governor's Republican. No, I'm talking about former governor. Anyway, completely made up. Yeah, he'll say like illegals are stealing jobs, but they're also stealing the jobs of criminals, and they're also eating away at our social safety nets. All of it is made up. Democrats want to do abortion after a child is born. Completely made up. They just keep repeating it over and over again. And these guys also keep repeating those lies over and over again until they genuinely believe it. Until they genuinely believe it. And then they're like, yeah, only the Republicans. Why don't you listen? You just talk. Dude, what is happening right now? I'm a political commentator. I'm going to repeat myself again, I think. Like, Donald Trump is literally live right now on this platform. You can go watch him directly if you want to hear his beautiful words.
cut, as you know, Medicare by $273 billion. She cast a vote to cut Medicare. Nobody knows that. She doesn't want people to know that. Now what she's doing is she's running away from Israel. She refuses to go to Bibi Netanyahu is in Washington. She refuses to go there.
But
you're against Israel, or you're against the Jewish people. Show up and listen to
the Jewish people.
But she's totally against the Jewish people. And it amazes me how Jewish people will vote for the Democrats when they're being treated so disrespectfully and badly. It amazes me. It's shocking. I don't get it. I don't get it. Kamala even wants to pass.
I think that line, that narrative is like utter poison, utter electoral poison for any Jewish person that's even remotely contemplating voting for the Republican Party. Like when you just keep saying like, oh, you're such a dumbass, dude. Imagine like being such a dumb Jew to vote for the Democrats. Like they're just be like, yeah, we're not voting for you.
The death of American energy and a lying radical left liberal San Francisco extremist is your commander-in-chief, then Kamala Harris is your candidate. She's the one for you. Just like she destroyed San Francisco, she will destroy our entire country. And let me tell you, it's in pretty bad shape right now anyway. What they've done in 3.5 years, especially, I mean, think of Afghanistan, the most embarrassing moment, day in the history of our country. We got out of weakness. We were going to get out, but we were going to get out of strength and dignity. We were going to get out. They left, you know, $85 billion worth of brand new equipment, brand new, beautiful military equipment. I rebuilt the military. They got equipment that I bought, and they left it in Afghanistan. And you know that Afghanistan now, the Taliban, Afghanistan is the second or third largest seller of military equipment in the world. They're taking this gorgeous stuff and they're selling it, and they're making a fortune because they don't need 700,000 rifles and guns. They don't need 77,000 trucks and cars. Many of them are
his plan, by the way.
Steel bottoms. They're all guarded up for the horrible bombs that they had to endure. They're all
his plan, by the way, even though it is politically courageous that Joe Biden followed through on it.
Because they just need a tiny fraction of what they were left. We were going to take it all out. We were going to keep Bagram, the big air base. We had 13 soldiers. We had 47 soldiers horribly, horribly hurt. No legs, no arms. Nobody ever talks about them. They talk about the 13 dead. They never talk about the 47.
No one talks about the 13 dead. You're just owning Republicans now.
I mean, just, it's so bad.
Only the Republicans talk about the 13 of our best soldiers.
It's an important number. Maybe there's something to it. You know, 47, that's an important number. And basically, she's a very bad person, and she shouldn't be running for president. She is a threat to democracy, a true threat to democracy. She'll destroy our nation. But if you want no inflation, low gas prices, how about $1.87? And we had it actually lower than that. If you want energy independence, and even now energy dominance, we're going to be dominant. You know, you have to see the chart. And my favorite chart of all, of course, some of you would understand what I mean, was the immigration chart. Because I looked over and I said, look at that chart. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's my all-time favorite chart. Man, am I lucky to show that chart? I said, let me see that chart. Let me see that chart. Pull it down.
Such a fake friend to China. If he's talking about gas prices, it's like, is it?
It showed how great we did on immigration. My last week in office, we had the lowest number of illegal aliens that we ever had coming across our border. I was very proud of the chart. You see it go like this, and then it goes like a skyrocket. But forget that. I like it for other reasons, too. I will sleep with that chart for the rest of my life. But if you want the greatest economy in history again, and freedom, if you want freedom, real freedom, because we're going in a very bad direction, then you must vote for a gentleman named, perhaps you've heard of him, Donald J. Trump. Perhaps you've heard of him. Gotta get out there. Kamala Harris's California socialism with the American dream forever. You know, you don't hear about the American dream anymore. We're going to bring back the American dream for our children. Under Trump-Vance administration, and he's...
The American dream for our children is to lower loosen up the law so that, like, loosen up child labor restrictions like we did in Arkansas, so that our beautiful children can work in the coal mines as well. Okay? The children yearn for the mines, and they must work there. They must learn the value of a dollar and the value of hard work.
You get into Yale without any connections, that's pretty good. And he was a great student. Then he met his beautiful wife at Yale, two smart people. It's really an amazing story. Amazing. Became a senator from the great state of Ohio. Ohio loves him. So
she's locked in, bro.
He's exactly what we want. And he's a very common sense guy. But we'll bring back that American dream bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Bigger, better, and stronger.
Yeah.
And remember, there's no issue on which Kamala has
We're going to make the children work. No more expansion of the child tax credits. We're not doing that. Children need to learn the value of a dollar so they can subscribe to the HasanAbi broadcast with their own hard-earned labor at the top of the hour, folks. There's a 3-minute ad break. Used to be 1 minute. Now it's 3. Brand inflation, folks. Made the subscription $6. But we'll do it. The children will work hard and long hours, get black lung, strengthen those lungs. Don't fight uphill, me boys. Top of the hour ad break is upon us. Here it is.
And she was a top player. She said, I've never seen a ball come at me like that. I played volleyball for a long time since I'm a little girl. I've never seen a ball, Richard. Richard, she said, I've never seen a ball come. What about race car drivers? Do you want to have a couple of transitioned race car drivers? Maybe that's okay. Actually, that could work. That could work. I have a good one for you I'd like to recommend. That could work, maybe. But she said, I've never seen a ball come. Or the weightlifting records. You see what's happening there?
Yeah, do a little bit of transphobia.
For 18
Come on.
years, they had a record. 18 years. A quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce on the barbells, right? A quarter of an ounce. Little tiny thing. And she goes, Olympic tryouts. Mom and Dad are in the front. And I hate to do it. You know, my wife says it's so unprecedented when you do that. Can you believe it? So I'm embarrassed. I used to give it a big push, but now I'm embarrassed. You know, I know I'm embarrassed to do it. She said, darling, your speech was wonderful, but please do stop with the weightlifting and the swimming. It's so unprecedented. You know, she's a class act. But I said, but people like it. People like it.
That's his type 5. Remember, we were
she
just
looked good
talking
2
about
weeks
it.
ago coming into.
We were just talking about it with the Howard Dean scream. Remember? Oh, he's just gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
Yeah, turn off your cameras for a second, okay? Boy, that's a lot of cameras, man. No, they get it up and they can't quite do it. Mom, I'm sorry, Mom.
Oh, he already
and
did.
the guy comes out for the tryouts. He comes out. Have you lifted before? No, I haven't really tried it. Oh. Well, give it a shot.
Also, the trans panic on athlete. Oh, I missed it. Wait,
right? How crazy is it?
I'm gonna run it back.
Or the swim.
I'm gonna run it back.
Well, give it a shot. Bing, bong. 12 years. And she's beautiful, beautiful, strong. And she looks left and she sees all the girls.
The trans athlete panic is also just completely made up. Like the Olympic lifter literally lost.
More than anything else. But he didn't quite have the courage to put that pedal to the floor like a couple of your competitors that we know so well, right? So instead he said, hell, I'm going to own the cars and I'm going to make a lot of money. This is too much for me, right? He had Dale Earnhardt. These guys were going around the track. And Richard's driving. Said, I don't know. I can't do that. I understand. That's the way it is. But he became the best at what he did. And some others, too, that I know that are friends. It's a great. By the way, that's a great sport. That whole thing is great. How you do it is amazing. It's so amazing. We should send you into. I've always said, get some of these guys. I have a lot of friends in that world. I don't know. I think.
Are you that dumb or you just don't see how unfair it is? Where's the guy that said that? I missed it. No, I'm that dumb, dude.
Talent. I said, let me use these
It's the
guys.
most, dude, hey, listen, Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, doesn't matter, okay? Life is going to be unaffordable for you for the rest of your life. You will never achieve the American dream. You will never be able to own a house, okay? But guess what, dude? Keep up the momentum against like random trans athletes, which represent a whopping 0.0000001% of athletic competition happening in the United States of America and around the globe. And, you know, if you keep thinking about that over and over again, maybe one day you will be able to afford a home. You won't be. Nothing will change materially in your life, but you'll be just an angry and resentful person for no particular reason. We're watching my goat right now.
Is he live?
Yeah, he is. But he's actually not that good. He's tried his like new stuff on Kamala. He's talked about being shot.
He's in the swimming.
Have you ever had Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream? It's pretty good.
I've had the strawberry one.
And she's a little nervous, but she's going to break that record. And they say
he's really feeling bad about Vance. He's really like,
but she got, as you know, very badly injured.
This is what it's like when you commit to a like a three-stack
burned by
with
the
people
wind.
who
He
aren't
went
that
so
good.
fast by her.
And you're like, it'll go by
She
quick.
suffered massive
No, it
wind
won't.
burn. We had to take her out of the pool. Massive wind burn. No, it's so crazy. Men playing in women's sports.
I'm trying to judge by the people in the
North Carolina.
Who could want open borders?
I wouldn't
Who
have
could
guessed
want
that.
high taxes?
That
Who
woman
could
has a
want
very
high
Pennsylvanian
taxes?
look to me.
Who wants this? They have so many things. You know, we're the party of common sense because we're conservative with it, but we're the party of common sense.
Oh, he's trying to do the tax cuts. We're the tax cut party shit.
Forget about all the top surgery stuff.
Kamala.
I mean, he
all
just did the trans stuff, but
You
She
can't do
compared
both.
ICE agents to members of the KKK. Can you believe it? It's so disrespectful.
wait, what?
And these guys, these people are great. I've seen them, and I've seen tapes of them, and they go into a pack of MS-13 out on Long Island, and they walk into that pack, and all you see is fists are flying left and right.
He said they
2 minutes
compared
later,
ICE
they walk out,
agents
and
to
they've got them by the
KKK.
legs, and they throw them into a paddy wagon, and we take them the hell out of our country. And she wants to get rid of them.
Thank you, Dijon.
Kamala
Dickler.
voted in favor of deadly sanctuary cities. She supports decriminalizing illegal border crossings, and she supports amnesty for all illegals. Think of that. Everybody coming in right now.
Okay.
And many of these people are coming out of the prisons and the
Which
mental
is this guy?
institutions.
The blue
They're
guy?
going to get amnesty.
This guy?
She wants
Yeah.
everybody to have amnesty.
I don't know if they have
Then
gas station
Joe
ketamine
Biden made
yet,
her the
but
border
that's
czar,
what he
and that's
seems
when it
like
really
he's
got
on.
bad. She launched a colossal
I think he's a
illegal
cop.
alien invasion
I
of a
was
country.
thinking
She
that
thought-
he's
she said, "Come on in."
probably like
Remember?
undercover Secret Service.
He's like too in shape to be
Yeah, he
like a
doesn't have-
regular cop,
He
though.
doesn't have like the real Jug Hooter look.
What?
Yeah.
Don't. Remember, don't.
He heard us.
On my
He's
very
trying to
first
blend
day
in.
back in the White House, I will terminate every single open border policy of the Biden-Harris administration. And we will seal the border and we will stop Kamala Harris invasion without delay. It'll happen immediately. Right?
Oh man, you know what I realized was the problem with the Trump campaign even before they scared the Democrats into like just baseline competence. there was like an...
You mean an undemocratic coup, according to Barstool's very own Dave Portnoy.
Dave Portnoy. Why wasn't Dave Portnoy at the Netanyahu speech? That's his
Elon
guy.
was. Elon was,
but Dave wasn't.
Wait, Dave Portnoy's like another one of those like weirdo Israel supporters?
Oh, yeah, no, I got into an argument with Dave Portnoy because he remember when that like rabbi in Rashida Tlaib's district got, and Dave Portnoy was like, "Look, she hasn't said anything.
Oh, yeah.
I bet she likes this." And I was like, "What?
Yeah.
And he was like, "What is this? Your first day on the internet? She hasn't even said anything on Facebook."
And it was like actually Rashida Tlaib's like friend.
It was literally her friend. I don't know what he was suggesting, like she did it or she liked it. But I was, the thing that I think turned people off, even like the reason that Trump never pulled out, like, you know, 9 points ahead of Joe, right? Even when people are sick of Joe, is the inevitability aura of Trump 2024. It's the same thing that cursed Hillary 2016. Just the presumptive inevitability of like, well, it's, you know, so we're gonna get it. It really annoys people. It deeply pisses people off.
And it also like blunts your otherwise like sound instincts. Like when you listen to Donald Trump Jr. and make your vice presidential pick JD Vance, who according to CNN last night, did you see the poll?
Yeah.
That was like
worst ever, -6.
Like we're historically unpopular. They're like, we've never had a VP pick be underwater in popularity.
The little thumbnail of JD Vance with worst ever, that's replaced my previous favorite screenshot. David Perdue, totally exonerated, no wrongdoing.
Oh, yeah, no wrongdoing.
Those are my two favorites now.
Yeah.
Now we have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of terrorists coming into our country, coming in from all over the world. Meanwhile, our crime rate is going up, despite the fact that they like to say it's not. Come on.
Oh,
well, crime statistics.
It's a lot. Yeah, the FBI is woke and gay. That's why they're lying about the crime stats.
Are taking their criminal elements and they're bringing them into the United States of America, and they're dumping them in our. We're a dumping ground. We're a stupid country that's run by stupid people. And we're going to make this country so great
like
again,
his
but we
C
have
material.
to fix it.
He so does not want to be in North Carolina. He's probably going to win North Carolina, but he
in
just does
Venezuela,
not want to be here.
Which was ridden with crime.
That's kind of crazy. He's like on, he shoots on Bukele too. That was actually kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I thought these guys loved how based and Bitcoin pilled he was, and how he was like locking up everyone who's ever sold a banana to like an MS-13 person.
Well, I mean, like Bukele's weird, right? Like he's, you know, mostly a lot of bad stuff, but like there's some like kind of interesting things he did with like agriculture, with agribusiness stuff, like that whole like farmers market idea he had. And like, do you remember the first Trump transition team back in 2017?
I don't.
His transition team was headed by Ed Meese, one of the Iran-Contra goons. And I wonder if there are people like deep in Trump world, like 90-year-old Iran-Contra veterans who just any sign of any like pro-worker policy in Latin America, they're like that guy.
Yeah.
That's what they tell him.
Well, he used to be woke, so that's why they're still operating on that boundary.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. Kamala Harris could not pass her bar exams, but she's going to be a great president, right?
Wait, he gave money to Kamala Harris when she was running for AG, like
not
twice.
Even that long ago.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like when he's like, "Oh, she's a bad AG," so why'd you give her $6 grand? Like,
I would be worse than any of them.
He just seems so like deflated and
and
resigned to it. Like it wasn't like, oh, she didn't pass the bar. What a shitty vice president. She's like, oh yeah, she'll be a great president.
Would be in the United States of America. I can tell
you guys are gonna be really happy when I lose.
Criminal would already be here. Every jail would be empty. Every mental institution, insane asylum would be empty. They'd all be in the United States. And that's what, in a short period of time, that's what's going to happen. We're going to have all of their criminals. The only thing good about them is they make our criminals look like very nice people by comparison. These are serious criminals. These are rough, These are rough. But under Border Czar Harris, can you believe it? Our communities are being ravaged by migrant crime. I call it migrant crime. I used to call it Biden migrant crime, but now I'll probably change it to Harris or Kamala. You know, it took him about, what, 4 years
That doesn't
to
even
pronounce
work.
it
Oh
right,
my
and then
God.
she
The
did it.
last one didn't work either. I call it Biden migrant crime. Like, it just doesn't work.
Very
He is,
undemocratic
like,
move.
He's lost the sauce a little
Earlier
bit.
this year, a 15-year-old girl
Mr.
in
President, can you
Massachusetts
jack
was
off
raped
or something?
by
Come
a
back to this
migrant
later.
who Biden and Harris flew into the United States against all orders. In upstate New York 2 months ago, another 15-year-old girl was attacked by an illegal alien that just walked into our country, assaulted with a metal pipe, abducted, driven to an isolated area. And in Texas last month, 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari was tied up, sexually
We only
assaulted.
want it when white Americans do that. That's fine.
I just,
Biden
like,
and Harris
when was the
released
last
to the
time you
United
saw
States and
him
refused to get him out.
phone it in like this?
What kind of a vice
like-
president
you
and
can
what
tell
kind
he's
of a
reading from the
border czar
teleprompter,
allows
too.
these monsters to come into our country? And this is just a small portion. These people are here now by the hundreds of thousands. And remember this, it's like
But the
anything
crime
else.
rate is going down, so I guess like they're better for the crime
No,
rate.
no, but the crime rate is lying. The FBI
Yeah.
is
Come on,
lying.
come on, wait, come on, come on, come on.
Getting used to being
Yeah.
there.
I hate
They don't
seeing
know
him
about
like
the words
this.
politically correct yet. When you catch them and you do nothing, and then you catch them again and do nothing. They don't know. The only time they do something, if it happens to be Trump, because he talks about how the rigged election was a disgrace. Oh, he should get the electric chair because he said the election was rigged. But if you ring somebody and strangle them and dump them in a creek, that's okay with these people because they're crazy.
Yeah, no, that's what
And
they're
we
doing.
don't want these people
That's
running
what,
our country
that's what the
anymore.
Democrat DAs are doing. They're letting get off because
What
they're like,
kind
oh,
of person?
Are you an undocumented immigrant? Oh, sorry, we can't prosecute you for the crime of. But the problem is like these guys literally believe it. Like it's just they are hallucinating in a completely different reality.
But you know that, Brandon, they said they passed some nonsense so that they could have a news. We're having a news conference. It actually made it worse. It actually, look at me saying it did. It made it worse. It's horrible. Kamala's deadly destruction of America's borders is completely and totally disqualifying. She shouldn't even be allowed to run for president, what she's done. She's committing crimes. No person who deliberately lets these kind of savage criminals into America should ever be trusted with power again, should ever be trusted to be the president of our country. If Border Czar Harris stays in charge, every week we'll bring a never-ending
Okay,
stream
so
of
he's
illegal
saying
alien
Border
rapists,
Czar
bloodthirsty
Harris?
killers,
Yeah.
and child predators to go after
I think
our
that's a
sons
good
and
line
our
of
daughters.
attack,
That's
to be
what's gonna
fair, because
happen.
like they're already so invested in like immigrants are doing unimaginable amounts of in violence. Hundreds of thousands of Americans dead every day in the hands of an undocumented immigrant. That like associating that with Kamala Harris is like fine in terms of like a successful avenue of attack because Joe Biden did put her in charge of like the least popular aspects of his presidency deliberately.
Yeah, he made her do that weird "do not come"
Yeah,
speech.
like he was like, go tell the Guatemalans not to come here in Guatemala.
We will ship them
Yeah.
back to the country
I mean, like,
from which they came.
out
We're gonna get
of-
them out of here.
out of like a field of sort of like stymied and bad attacks.
You know, when I first came here, I don't tell this
It's like
much,
the
but
least
you can say,
one.
well, we're going to get them out. MS-13 in particular, the most savage, vicious gang. They took 16-year-old girls walking to school. They killed them with a knife. They sliced up their body. They didn't want to use a gun because that's too quick. They didn't want to use a gun. They sliced them up. They sliced them up into pieces. And Nancy Pelosi said they should stand trial. You know, nice fair trial.
Do you think that people will have like a negative reaction to this like crime panic narrative over and over again in a similar way that they did to like the trans stuff, where it was like, dude, why are you constantly talking about the children's genitals like it's weird and gross? I feel like Americans are far too fashy and far too like far too draconian when it comes to criminal justice to ever let loose on this, like ever get negatively polarized against this kind of narrative.
I mean, it's hard. Like, it's hard to say because like immigration is one of the few things in like the GOP's social policy toolkit that it's not as much of a double-edged sword as other social issues, right? You don't get quite as much blowback.
Ironically, because they can't vote.
Right, right.
Literally, despite the fact that that's the #1 thing that Republicans claim, they can't vote, so they have no say in the matter.
Right, and it's like, who knows how you could even quantify this, right? But I think that, like, it upsets people. Like, I still think, like, on the whole, you're probably taking away from your you know, your electorate when you, like, 3 times in 5 minutes are talking about, like, a brutal abduction in your campaign speech. I still think that probably does more harm than good, if I had to guess. But I don't think it quite turns people off as much in the same way as, like, hyper focusing on, like, you know, the one, like, trans collegiate swimmer in America or whatever, right?
Riley Gaines.
Like, like, it's weird.
She was robbed, folks. She got 5th place.
Americans are just so weird on immigration.
How much money? 750. Inform
like,
them that
you know,
Dude, they're so on immigration. I always go back to the same thing, but like amnesty for DACA recipients is like 90% approval rating. So much so that even Trump couldn't like actually get himself to fully like abort or fully deport these people. Beyond that, though, historically, we are at the highest level that we've ever seen in terms of like crowd reception to like majority reception to like mass deportation.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
It's at like 60%. But also the very same people I remember during the Trump, like during the early Trump years, you would ask Trump voters directly, what do you think about like amnesty for people that have like lived here, conditional amnesty for migrants that have lived here for an extended period of time? And that was like a broadly popular policy. So Americans literally on the issue of immigration, because they live around undocumented migrants, because like every American knows like at least one undocumented migrant, no matter how sheltered they are, no matter how like segregated their communities are, they have met an undocumented migrant. There's like 10 million plus undocumented migrants in this country, right? They're not all just like living in trailer parks and working at the chicken factory. Like they're you know, barbacks. They're working at restaurants. They're working all around us. So for that reason, Americans also simultaneously have this attitude where they are very receptive to amnesty for undocumented migrants in the same breath while they advocate to deport all of them.
Right. No, yeah, that's what I mean. Like on some ways since like 2012 or 2014, the average American view on immigration has drifted more. It's become more like the average like EU view on it, you know, like a bit more restrictive. But at the same time, certain individual policies or sets of actions are so far beyond, like so far to the left of even what like the center left position in like an EU country or the UK.
Yeah, that's the one aspect of like American society that has like been fairly I guess, quote unquote, progressive, woke, in comparison to Europe.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, do you remember like the day that the Muslim, or the night rather, that the Muslim ban like went into effect, right? In 2017.
Yeah.
I felt like that was kind of like, that kind of set the tone for the Trump presidency of like not being able to do a lot of things, because it was like out of the people that had like any response to it, like I never felt like his base had like that strong of a positive response to it, but there was such a strong negative response to it, and there was such like instant mobilization, whether it was like I was at JFK the night that happened. It was like an insane crush of people like I've never seen before, like at the almost instantly.
And it only added on with the DACA one as well, or even with like even with Obamacare. Like it was a weird moment where I think the Republicans, even like Republican voters, were not all too hot on like destroying you know, certain aspects of Obamacare, because like it was objectively good, like being able to be under your parents' insurance until 26, and like and the insurance companies not the insurance company restrictions, like not being able to give you health care if you have some kind of condition.
It's one of those things that like there's a lot of things with policies, I feel like, that polls cannot tell the entire story, right? Because at the end of the day, it's mostly like a binary choice, or sometimes like a set of choices, like strongly agree, very strongly agree, no particular feeling, etc. But you can't really qualify, you know, you could get like the balance would be like 55 are in favor of this thing, like the Muslim ban or something like that, and like 45% are like there's a coalition of like against to no opinion. But the 45% are so much like the strength of their opposition is so much higher than the strength of like the passive approval of it, that it's kind of like it's a wash. You get such little benefit from doing it and get such a dramatic blowback from doing it. And the poll really didn't tell the full story of that. I think a lot of immigration things are kind of like that in one way or another.
Yeah. Well, I think like that what you're describing is literally what happened with abortion. Even though it was like a 40-year project for the Republican Party, like them finally following through on that was like a major misstep, because it was much easier it was much more politically sound for them to continue dangling in front of the evangelical base, instead of like actually fully committing to it, because there are far more people in this country, like objectively far more people in this country that are going to be upset and have their lives disrupted by this policy change, that like they're always going to be reminded of it anytime they see something about it anytime they see something like that on screen in like in the media, like they're going to be reminded that like the Republicans did that. And I think that is a legitimate problem with the Republican Party now, is that they just kind of won so much for so long that they believe that they are more popular than they actually are. Like they believe that, you know, talking about how Kamala Harris doesn't have a child and therefore is not invested in this nation's future is like a good narrative to run on, because they think like, oh, well, people on Twitter think that that's a good narrative.
Wait, what I've been so fascinated by is, you know, in a lot of ways, this both 2022 and now 2024 have been replays, like mirrored replays of classic Democratic ups, right? And with 2024, what I think is so amazing is they went through all the trouble of like acquiring Twitter, of Elon Musk acquiring Twitter, something he ultimately did not really want to do.
Yeah.
And going through all that trouble, and their ultimate upside for that, right, is that they can finally make like the timeline like reflective of their views. You know, whether it's very surface level or not is a different thing, but generally making like probably like the on balance, like the you know, whatever algorithm runs Twitter, on balance from like 2014 to I don't know 2020 was probably like more liberal, like a broader Silicon Valley type of liberalism, and now it's more conservative. Like if you click on your For You tab, I get some Manuals, accounts, but I mostly get, you know, like, you know, Patriot Deborah. And she's like, Kamala's the Hawk 2 candidate.
You want to know something crazy though? Like actually not being on Twitter all that much, and not having it be on my, like only looking at Twitter when I'm live, and not having it on my phone has greatly reduced the number of like blue check mark, you know, Twitter farmers. I still get the occasional Ben Shapiro tweet crying, as you can see here, about like the American flag being burned or whatever. But beyond that, it's just mostly people that I interact with, because the doom scrolling, I think, is like greatly boosting.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's what I mean, is like for hyperactive users, the like For You or trending, you know, before For You existed, that trended more like Silicon Valley liberal. Now it's like weirdo Silicon Valley right winger mixed with 100 other things, if you're like a very active user on the mobile app. But what I think is so interesting about that is they literally, one of the big problems with Hillary 2016 and the Kamala 2020 primary campaign was this, or Warren 2020 especially, was this problem that left liberals had, where they thought the timeline was broadly reflective of reality. And they would go out there and realize no one had any clue what they were talking about. Conservatives went through the trouble of buying Twitter to make the timeline reflect their thoughts, and then forgot that they did that. And we're like, well, everyone on Twitter agrees. I bet everyone will love it when we talk about how this stupid bitch doesn't have any kids and she blew everyone and if you get an abortion, everyone will love it. It gets a lot of retweets.
That is also so like unappealing to broad swaths of the population that they unironically are not even like people are leaving the platform. You know what I mean? Like people are like Twitter has lost 74% of its revenue since Elon's takeover. Like a ton of users, ton of active users. The entire platform is like botted to oblivion. And like it's less reflective of reality than even before, and it certainly wasn't reflective of reality even back then, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's great. They're like they're huffing their own farts in this hug box that they've created for themselves, but it's, I think, causing them